Commissioner Beard,
Here.
Commissioner Beckles,
Here.
Commissioner Bowie,
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Here.
Commissioner Solorio,
Here.
Vice Chair Tu-Ha Nguyen,
Here.
and Chair Klopfenstein.
Here.
We'll start with oral communication. I don't have any cards. Moving on to consent items, we have 2A, receive and file the Housing Authority status report for August 2017, and 2B, receive and file minutes from the meeting held on August 22nd, 2017. Do I have a motion?
Second.
So moved.
Who made the motion?
Motion second.
Second.
You.
Not necessarily in that order.
Mine didn't come up,
Mine didn't either.
It's
Okay.
not coming up?
but I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Okay, Commissioner Beard,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowie,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Nguyen, Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Yes.
Commissioner Tu-Ha Nguyen,
Yes.
Commissioner Solorio,
Yes.
and Chair Klopfenstein.
Yes.
Motion received, 9 yes votes.
Moving on, items for consideration. None. We'll move on to matters for chair, commissioners, director. Anyone? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn. The next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 24th, 6:30 here at the Community Meeting Center.
Chairs. Musical chairs. Musical chairs. We do have it, man. Okay. Would like to call the city council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Member Beard,
Here.
Member O'Neill,
Here.
Member Tu-Ha Nguyen,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowie,
Yeah.
Member Klopfenstein,
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen,
Here.
and Mayor Jones.
Here. I'd like to ask Kingsley Okereke to lead us in an invocation and then followed by Councilmember O'Neill to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Okay, please prepare yourself according to your faith. Dear Lord, we ask for your presence this evening as we begin the work entrusted to us by the citizens of this great city of Garden Grove. Bestow your blessings on our deliberations that we may have the benefit of your wisdom and integrity in making decisions that affect the life of those who live and work in our community. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag, put your hand over your heart, and join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty then, we move on to presentations. We have several. The first of which is in recognition of Pacifica High School's dance team for their national title at the 2017 U.S. Nationals competition.
This evening, this Garden Grove City Council is very pleased to recognize Pacifica High School's dance team for winning the national championship. Would the team please come forward, including Coach Felton? Okay, the United Spirit Association Dance Nationals was held on March 31st and April 1st at the Long Beach Convention Center, where dance teams around the nation competed for the title. The Pacifica High School dance team received first place in medium hip hop, and second place in dance and pump, and third place in extra small dance. The team was also honored with the Judges Excellence Award, which is given to the top 3 scoring teams. Coach Felton says the team began practicing early August, 3 to 4 days a week, and countless hours outside of their regular school schedule. To achieve their shared goal, the team united and worked very hard together. At this time, the mayor and city council would like to present Pacifica High School's dance team and Coach Felton with a gift of appreciation in recognition of their 6th national title since 2013. The city of Garden Grove is extremely proud of the accomplishments of these talented young women. We applaud their efforts, and we wish all of them the best in their future endeavors. Congratulations.
Thank you for considering us. Next note.
Thank you.
Holly? Emily Chavez?
Thank you.
And last but not least, Desiree.
Yeah, but he's got all these different photos, and it's like,
Alright,
okay,
so-
now I'm,
We have one of these. Yeah. So, if we could, can we all squeeze into here?
Like, we could go up behind or.
Yeah, why don't we go back up behind, and then you guys all kind of pile into the center part. We'll come in together too.
Hold on, I'm gonna make room for that.
Get you little stills already.
Where did Coach Bree go? Oh, there. Oh, would you care to say a few words?
What's the name?
Coach Bree.
Okay.
Something with a
Can you
B.
hear me? This was just a particularly amazing accomplishment because last year we actually only had 5 returners on the team, so 5 of our 12 were returners. So early in the year, we knew we were gonna have to work extra hard. So and they did it. They managed to pull it off. So it was really exciting. This year we have 4 new freshmen added to the team. Everyone else last year has returned. I had no seniors last year. So we have a team pretty much full of champions, and we're hoping to repeat it again this year. So.
All righty, congratulations. Moving on to our second spotlight. Kimberly Hood.
The Garden Grove City Council is honored to recognize an accomplished city veteran who retires from city after 35 years working to improve and enhance the quality of life for the Garden Grove community. On a personal level, I'm mighty honored to be reading this for a distinguished and respected central management colleague.
Thank you.
I would say, would Kim please come forward? She's already forward.
I've waited 35 years.
Since from college, Kim had a passion for public service. She attended California State University, Fullerton, where she obtained a bachelor's degree in political science, and later her master's in public policy and administration from California State University, Long Beach. She began her 35-year career with the city of Garden Grove on March 2nd, 1982, as an administrative intern in the Administrative Services Department. Just a few years later, Kim became a full-time neighborhood environmental specialist in 1984, and in 1986 became a code enforcement officer. She then moved up to administrative analyst in 1987, and I believe in the budget department.
That's right.
From 1991 to 2000, Kim served in several capacities within the Economic Development Department, ranging from Economic Development Specialist, Senior Economic Development Specialist, and Project Planner. In 2001, Kim was appointed as Neighborhood Improvement Manager, and on July 3rd, 2006, she was promoted to Community Services Director. Kim's dedication and service-oriented skills led the Community Service Department, one of the largest departments in the city, in achieving notable goals. Some of these goals include the inception of the annual Christmas tree lighting, arrival of the moving wall, the traveling half-size replica of the Vietnam Veterans War Memorial, completion of the $2 million Buena Clinton Youth and Family Center, and His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's historical visit to Garden Grove. Her proudest accomplishments have been overseeing the nonprofit Garden Grove Community Foundation, coordinating the development of the first sports and recreation complex in the city, and co-heading Garden Grove's successful open streets events, where the downtown area became a car-free fun zone. Kim's knowledge, efforts, and consistent demonstration of community pride have made her a valued part of the city of Garden Grove, and her sustained contributions will remain integral to Garden Grove's future success. After 35 years of providing excellent service to the city with mixed emotions, the family wishes Garden Grove's esteemed Community Service Director the best retirement has to offer. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present Kim Hoy with a Crystal Award and a resolution of commendation honoring her 35 years of dedicated service to the city of Garden Grove and its residents. We will all miss you, Kim. Best wishes, countless fulfillment and experiences that lie ahead. Good luck.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Oh, wow, that's really nice.
Pretty darn fancy. It's pretty darn heavy.
It is.
This
My department actually orders these, so I hope
So present that. Please feel free to.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody. Please be seated. Well, I really just want to thank you so much. I've read this like 10 times. I've broken down like 7. So I just want to thank you so much for this recognition and for the opportunity to be part of this organization for the last 35 years. It's not often that you get an opportunity to be part of the evolution of a city. But that certainly happened with me, and I am so grateful to have been a part of it. I want to thank all of you for your support, because what you do every day isn't easy. But you are a bold council, and you have a lot of exciting ideas. So I cannot wait to see what happens in Garden Grove in the future. I do quickly just want to thank City Manager Scott Stiles for his support and his encouragement of the Community Services Department since his arrival 2 years ago. And finally, I'm sure that my staff would string me up if I left this microphone without saying that parks make life better. So when you find some extra money, remember that and send a little their way. Thank you so much.
Okay, take a picture. Let go down. Let go down.
What's that?
Yeah, I want to go down.
Half this room is my staff and my colleagues, so thank you so much for coming out tonight. I appreciate that. Thank you. I will miss all of you too. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
I take a time, so that when everybody.
Scott, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I just wanted to make just a very brief comment. I know I speak from a little experience. When you leave an organization after a long time, and Kim, you've had 35 years with the city of Garden Grove, and when we read the remarks of our finance director beforehand, we spent a lot of time talking about all of the projects and accomplishments that Kim had. But with all due respect to Chief Elgin, all of the people in this room are not here for us to see if we're going to approve the purchase of a new police vehicle later on. But what I can tell you is that when you work for a place for 35 years, all of it's the people that you look back on, and you're going to remember and think about. You're going to lose track of a little bit about all the projects you work on, but you won't ever forget the people that you worked with. And so I know it means a lot to everybody that's here to support you. All of our department directors have left the comfort of their cave over in the other room to come over here and show their support for you, Kim. Thank you. And I know I speak for the entire community to say that the City of Garden Grove owes you a debt of gratitude for your service to the city. So congratulations for everything you've done.
I'd like to say a few words as well. So, as a friend, I'm thrilled for you, and I hope you consider me a friend after all we've been through together. I'm very saddened to see you go. I can't imagine how the city is possibly going to carry on and do all the things that we do without you. You made so many things happen, and I'm just honored by how much I've learned from you over the years. I've watched you close a lot of deals and bring about a lot of events and just get things done. So you are a get things done kind of person, and you can take very big, complicated situations and hone in on them and cut deals and move on to the next big deal the next day like nobody else I've ever seen in my life. So I think everyone around you has soaked a bit of that up. It's going to be a challenge for us to try and step into your shoes and keep things moving forward as efficiently as they have in the past. But when you talk about being involved with a transformation, I mean, I was right there with you going through this, and it's been a very exciting journey. So I think we've come a long way, and we've planted the seeds that are starting to come out of the ground now, and things are actually happening and coming forward, and will continue to. These trees will continue to grow even in your absence just because of the foundation that you provided. So thank you for everything, and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Take a minute.
Want a tissue?
Do you want to do
Thank you.
Do you want to do a quick break now before everybody's clearing out? Or do you want to wait till?
Yeah, maybe we got now.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break right now and let everybody clear out, and then we'll come right back. This presentation on the Hazard Avenue Bikeway Improvement Project and a Go Human pop-up demonstration project as provided by County of Orange and Southern California Association of Governments. Hi, Paul. Thanks for coming.
You bet. Good evening. So I kept joking that I was going to stretch after the dance team. Hopefully this presentation will go well. I don't have much of a routine or anything. I actually work at Orange County Transportation Authority. My name is Paul Martin. So my role at OCTA is about bicycle pedestrian work as the active transportation coordinator. So yes, here with me as well is Alex Bartrosif. Hopefully I said his last name right. I always just go with Alec. So Alec works at Southern California Association of Governments. I'm going to cover a couple slides and then Alec is going to speak as well. Additionally, we have County of Orange staff. So the 3 different agencies were all working together on this project and wanted to come and talk to you about the Hazard Avenue project. So let's see. Where am I looking? Thanks. So we have a project called Redefine Hazard, and it's got some origins in where I'm pressing the arrow, but it's not advancing. It's on.
Is it the other one?
What am I doing wrong? You said the new one.
It is.
So the Redefine Hazard project has origins in a planning study that OCTA did a few years ago. So one of the roles that OCTA provides to the local jurisdictions throughout Orange County is regional planning, whether it's bicycle or pedestrian topics. So starting in 2011, we started looking at how we can plan regional bikeways that connect to regional destinations. So major destinations like shopping centers, major parks, major employment centers, major schools and universities, and so on. So a few years ago, the Districts 1 and 2 bikeway strategy actually identified a potential bikeway corridor along Hazard Avenue, traveling east-west throughout the county, all the way from the San Gabriel Coyote Creek area in Seal Beach, all the way east through the city, through Westminster, Garden Grove, Santa Ana to the Santa Ana River Trail. So that's about a 4-mile distance. And the County of Orange was interested in helping make that project happen. So last year they actually submitted for funding to OCTA to secure funding to advance the project. So some money has been secured and the County of Orange is working with the cities that are involved. So Garden Grove and Westminster. The most immediate project that they're working on, the components, is from Golden West in the city of Westminster, all the way to Euclid, so that's a 4-mile stretch. But in the long term, that project could go a much longer distance, as shown on the screen here. So here you actually see this orange dash line is the project that the county has secured funding for. So that 4-mile stretch, as I mentioned, from Golden West to Euclid. And on the west of there would be an old rail right-of-way that the military used to use, that is in Huntington Beach and Westminster. And then even beyond that, along Westminster through the Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station. Then the easterly segment has a bit of a green. That's a project that is being planned by the city of Santa Ana. So collectively, as all these pieces come together in the long term, you'll have this nice river-to-river connection all the way from the San Gabriel River all the way to the Santa Ana River, for people to bicycle and enjoy travel through the communities. So the county goal, as listed on the screen, is how we can enhance this corridor and provide safety for users. So this mentions bikeway safety, but in reality I would suggest that, as with all planning and engineering projects, it's a lot about how we can provide safety for all users, whether people are actually bicycling or maybe even walking on the sidewalk or driving in a car or goods movement. Safety for all users along Hazard Avenue. So that gets us to this concept of the Redefine Hazard project. So I'm going to hand it over to Alec, and he's going to walk through that.
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having us. My name is Alec Berchosoff. I'm with the Southern California Association of Governments. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the event, just to give you a recap. Go Human is a SCAG program that is region-wide. It is a safety and encouragement campaign that's really broken into two pieces, one of which is a safety and encouragement media campaign. You may have seen a couple of our billboards, bus backs. We even have a radio jingle, kind of encouraging people to walk and bike and use active transportation to get around, but also to remind people to be mindful of sharing the road and being aware of the most vulnerable users on the road. The other part of it is doing demonstration pop-up events. Through this program, we hope to partner with cities, agencies, counties, to demonstrate opportunities where we can promote more active transportation and really get people to get out and experience what these improvements can look like. A lot of times we're looking at plans and documents on paper. It's hard to imagine what it could look like in your neighborhood. So we kind of provide a toolkit of parts with Go Human to cities that would like to showcase projects that they would like to see move forward. So that's what we like to do with Go Human and our program. We've done a few of these before, one of which was with actually the city of Garden Grove, with Reimagine Garden Grove, not too long ago. This is a great photo of you folks on one of those big chairs that you have out there. It's a great piece. We did one in Westminster as well earlier this year, showcasing a protected bike lane along Hoover that they wanted to develop, do outreach on and get feedback on to get that project going. We also did Connect the Loop, which was, again, a county-wide effort to bridge a gap between a regional ride network that could get people all around the county by bike. We also did an event in Santa Ana, again, to partner with the city to educate the community about their active transportation plans and what they're doing in that city. And so that brings us to our next event, which is on October 21st. We're here to let you know about it and hope that you plan to attend. There's a lot going on that day. It is in partnership with the City of Westminster, Santa Ana, the county, and OCTA. We really hope to demonstrate the improvements that Paul mentioned, proposed improvements along Hazard. We also want to showcase a greenway along around the school. Again, is something that we did with Reimagine Garden Grove earlier this year. And then we're actually going to take a existing bike lane and turn it into a protected bike lane on Ward Street. Again, it's not proposed, but it is something that we just wanted to showcase to get the residents of the community to see what it feels like to ride along a protected bike lane. We also have lots of festival-style activities. We have a lot of booths that are going to be at the programming hubs along the corridor. We're also trying to get the school involved to do some kind of art installation, again, along Ward. They have a large chain link fence. We want to beautify the community as well. I mentioned the greenway, interactive booths, and lots of fun for the community. We also will have some bicycles on loaner for people to come. If they don't have a bicycle that day, they can check out ours and take it for a spin. The loop is about a mile, so it shouldn't be too long to complete. It's a relatively easy route. Just wanted to mention or highlight a couple of previous Go Human events. I already mentioned Experience Hoover that was done last year. This was an interesting project. The city got a lot of feedback from the community on this project along Hoover. We also demonstrated a traffic circle, a regular bike lane, and again, a bike routes throughout the community that would get people to the main park there. And they're now currently applying for funding through the Urban Greening Grant to get that project realized. So it's really an opportunity to get feedback from the community, but also an opportunity for you to apply for further funding should you want to see the project be realized. Same thing that happened with tracks at Brea. This was a project that it was a rail to trail project. We also already had a segment of that project completed, but we wanted to, again, get the residents aware of the project because it was very new, and get them educated about the further phases and what they're going to include and how we can get their feedback on that. And then again, OC Loop Segment H, same situation where we had several cities involved. It was a good opportunity to coordinate and collaborate with the various jurisdictions. And again, showcase a loop, a segment of the loop that was currently missing that we can, again, get feedback on, fine tune, get the community involved so that we can get more buy-in. So with that, wanted to conclude. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have the county here as well, should you have specific questions about the corridor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything? No, nice. Okay, cool. I'll jump in, and then if any of you guys want to jump in, you're welcome to. But just for starters, thanks, Paul, for being here. Thanks, Alec, for being here. You guys are always a breath of fresh air. Just have a really fun and different way of looking at this crazy, congested world that we live in, and just finding new ways to change things up. So it's always very fresh and positive energy being around you guys. Good vibe. Thanks to SCAG and thanks to Go Human for participating in our recent Open Streets events that just keep getting better and better. 2016, we had the one, we went all the way down to West Street and through the neighborhoods there. We walked them, we engaged the neighbors and stuff in advance. We had a lot of fun doing that, and just kind of opened up some new opportunities for perfecting our bike master plan in the city. And I was afraid we weren't going to have enough people riding bikes to get all the way over there, and we had a ton of people on bikes this time around, so it really got used, and it was just a great pop-up to do that. So thanks for all that. You know, this new 7-member council that we have made it very clear in our visioning retreat earlier this year that active transportation is a strategic priority of ours, to continue the Open Streets events, to continue our Reimagine efforts, and to implement our bike and pedestrian master plan, which we've put a whole lot of hours into getting so far. So we appreciate all that you do, and we certainly appreciate the supervisor's office and the county for stepping up and taking on a piece of this on the fringe of town. Over on Hazard as it passes through Garden Grove and other cities, and we'll connect some great routes over there as well. So we're glad to be a part of that route, and supportive of all these efforts. So thank you. Anyone else?
No, that sums it up.
All right, great. Yeah, I think also I just want to add to that. Certainly, Alec and I are here as agency partners, right? We really want to convey that collectively all these agencies are coming together to figure out how we can help each jurisdiction. So whether it's Orange County, City of Garden Grove, City of Westminster, collectively we can achieve so much. Thanks.
Also, with your OCTA hat on, we've got stuff going on. We did a little demonstration piece of a bike and pedestrian path on a little portion of the Pacific Electric right-of-way, which was great. We've got grants out, and we're exploring connecting the whole entire PE right-of-way. I think OCTA is in the process of acquiring a little piece back that was sold to the city, or to the redevelopment agency rather, many years ago, and so we're unwinding that. And I think as we roll that out, we'll see more bike and pedestrian paths going through the city as soon as our teams and our engineers get together with your folks and make it all happen.
Yeah, we're happy to see more and look forward to everyone coming out on October 21. Chance to really see what the street could look like.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. With that, we move on to oral communications. Charles Mitchell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. Someone asked me, why do you always speak at the city council meetings? The simple answer is, because I can. And I can because of many who came before me who took a knee at places like Valley Forge and Gettysburg and Belleau Wood and the Coral Sea and Normandy and Iwo Jima and the jungles of Vietnam and the sands of Iraq and Afghanistan. Yes, they took a knee, but they took a knee in honor of our country. And many of them never returned. I think if you're going to take a knee and protest, take two knees and pray for the safety of our great country and be thankful for the privilege of being able to protest in a free society. Another reason why I speak at the city council meetings is to keep up a tradition. A tradition from speakers like Ray Luttrell and Bob Owens, who used to keep one of our former city managers' feet to the fire, and to honor someone who we recently lost who sat on this very city council, Big Al Snook. Mr. Mayor, I'm asking if you would close this meeting in his honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Fong Lee.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Fong Lee, tonight I'm here on behalf of the organizing committee for the Mid-Autumn Children's Festival happening this Sunday, October 1st at Atlantis Play Center from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. First of all, I want to thank the Mayor City Council for supporting this event. Also want to thank City Manager Scott Stile. I know we were honoring Kim earlier. I also want to thank Kim, Kimberly Hoy, and city staff, Jenna Palayo and John Montanches, for helping us bringing the festival to Atlantis Place Center. As you recall, the Moon Festival has been around for many years, and it went to it was in City of Westminster, then it was hosted at Bosa Grande High School, at the Green Village, different part of the community. But this year, with a new group of organizers, we have revamped the program into a children's festival because for the Moon Festival, it has its root in many of the Asian culture, celebrating the harvest season. It's a time that family comes together to celebrate family, but in particular in the Vietnamese community, the festival has become a children's festival. So we thought that with the city support, we could bring it to Atlantis Place Center and make it into a children's festival that open to all families and all children of Garden Grove. So with that, I want again to thank the city and also remind you to come join us at the festival. I know you're about to consider a resolution this evening, and also want to thank the City Council, Councilwoman Tu Hang Nguyen, first help us connect with city staff and the city to work on this. So also lastly, just want to invite all residents of Garden Grove, families, please bring your kids out. We have a lot of activities, arts and craft, face painting, animal balloons, just many. We have in our committee, we have 6 different Boys and Girl Scout troop involved, language school, We have youth organization involved, so it's all nonprofit doing this, about 17 organization in total, and the event is free. And at the end, in the evening, at about 7 o'clock, we'll be giving out free lanterns to all the kids that are there. Free lanterns with LED lights and everything, and then we're gonna gather up all of the kids with lanterns and have a lanterns parade inside Atlantis Play Center, and it's kind of like a tradition. That's part of the Moon Festival. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we look forward to having you at the events. And once again, thank you.
Thanks, Fong. Denise Simpson.
Hello. Thank you for letting me come. Again, my name's Denise Simpson. I'm from the formerly known as the School of Continuing Education. We're now the North Orange Continuing Education. We're rebranding ourselves. We'll have the same quality programs as we've had, but we're starting a new name and just trying to reach out to our community more. Garden Grove has always been a partner with us. We have some collaborations with your Rancho Alamitos High School, along with my program. I'm the Director of Disability Supports, and so many of your students from Garden Grove come to my program so they can have a post-secondary education experience. I have some brochures and some swag for you, but we serve about 30,000 students in our community. Many of our classes are of no cost to the students. We have English as a second language, basic skills, high school diploma. Again, my own program, which is disability supports, and then also a lot of career technical education programs. And then we also offer a lot of supports for students who require extra supports to be successful. So we're just here today to reintroduce you and to let you know what we have and to encourage you to partner with us more. So, I have, this bag of swag. Do I?
Bag of swag.
This way?
The swag bag.
Give it to them after the
Thank
meeting.
you,
Is that okay?
perfect. And then I forgot to tell you, there's one event we are having at our Anaheim campus. So we have a program at Cypress College, one at our Anaheim campus, which is our main district, and then also Fullerton. But at Anaheim, we're doing a big fair on October 21st, which is Harvesting Opportunities. And it's just an opportunity, a lot of free giveaways for students. But just to get people coming back, we have a large citizenship program as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks a bunch. Bob Donaldson.
Welcome, and I'm glad to be here before the City Council. My name is Bobby Donaldson. I I own a home at 11681 Robert Lane. My daughter and her husband are there now. My concern is the short-term rental issue. And I did bring this, I called the city about a year or two ago and got good news. Balwin was the mayor, and he says, hey, STRs aren't allowed in Garden Grove. I says, great, because I happen to unfortunately live in Anaheim, about 2/3 of a mile from Robert Lane. And STRs has really been a major problem in the city of Anaheim. Well, so I sent him, so they said no, and then I found out the first 3 were on Ricky Lane. Now, unfortunately, I thought Ricky Lane was Anaheim. I didn't even know it was Garden Grove. And like the 3 right at the beginning are all STRs. So I sent a message in January to Miss Wynn, because I met her at a function and we were talking about it, and got a response back from the city on February 24th saying that they were prohibited. Well, that was 3 in January. Well, what has happened since then is that we're out there, we know that there's at least 16, or suspect there's 16. And you can tell they're this. The easiest way we see them, they all have keypads. You know, you can kind of, and when you see a different state license every so often, because my wife and I walk in that area, you know, we live right at Sherwood Village, which is by the convention center, so we're very close to Robert Lane. And as you can see, most of these are in District 5. The same thing that happened in the city of Anaheim is District 4. Is where most of the STRs are, and it's because of the convention center in Disneyland. And they draw a lot of people. But it's bad for the neighborhood. They bring noise, they bring trash, they bring drugs, and we have all this seeing it happen. And what we're noticing is they're really getting big. And cities don't enforce this, not just Garden Grove. Huntington Beach is the same way. All you have to do is go on Airbnb and see how many listings there are in Garden Grove. And when we say short-term rentals, I'm talking about 3 to 7 days. You know, nobody complains about, 30-day renters, and like some people say, oh, you can get a bad renter. I says, of course, but that's not the issue. It's the short-term ones that come over, and they overcrowd the house, Like this morning, and I don't know which house on West the group came out of, there was like 12, whole family packing off to go to Disneyland. They walked down West Street, and this was coming from the Garden Grove section, over and out. Now, in theory, in the next somewhere between 2 and 4 years, they're going to be banned in Anaheim. They have a drop-dead date for some of them. It's February of next year. But it's cost the city a lot of money, these STRs, and nobody's enforcing them. And you can see, because I listed like Lee here, he has a sign on saying he doesn't want them. And we have signs that we don't want them, because it's unsafe. And it really hurts the schools too, because you know what you do? You take out people. And these are greedy people. These owners are greedy. I mean, I'm a homeowner. I wouldn't think about an STR because they're just greedy. They want and they get a lot of money for these short-term rentals. And they bring in these people, and they end up draining, they crowd the streets. The people throw, junk all over your streets. They do it at Anaheim. And they don't have that sense of being part of your neighborhood. And you don't know who's coming in. They just busted one from us in Sherwood Village a couple weeks ago, prostitution. They had these girls being drugged up in this house, and luckily the cops came out and took care of the problem. But there was like 8 or 9 women that were being sold, and this is in Sherwood Village. And it was one of our STRs, and that's what you get when you get these STRs. Like I say, they are a complete cancer to you, and you need to stop it before it gets out of hand. Because it is getting out of hand. Like I said, I've seen it grow from 3 to 16 that we suspect. And like I said, as I put in here, I suspect these. Because we just look and you see all these churn, and like when you walk up and you say, hey, are you interested in Neighborhood Watch? Of course not, because they don't live there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pam Donaldson.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilwomen. I'm here also to talk about the STRs. We have a home at 11681 Robert Lane, and the house is sold across the street from us. Now, we're worried that it's going to be an STR. I only noticed that these are STRs because I walk 2 miles a day, and I go across the street. And this is just a 2-mile span that I know that these are STRs, because 4 days later, 2 different cars. One of them, which is on, I don't have the list, which is on Cliffwood. Last year, he's been running for 2 years. I walk that way, he's got cars everywhere. And last year, he had 10 cars because of the car show. The car show is coming this weekend. So I just accidentally spoke to somebody on the phone because I did a wrong number, and she said, oh, you're going to the city council? And I said, yes. She said, well, let me know what's going on. And she said, what are you going to talk about? And I said, STR. She goes, what are those? She's going, oh my gosh, I didn't know that's going on. And she said, maybe I should come speak. I'm 85 years old. I don't want one next to me. And I said, you're absolutely right. Come down and talk, because these homes are homes that people can have as families. These are businesses that are in residential areas, and they're hotels. They come, they go, you don't know who they are. They come out with their suitcases, just like a hotel. Suitcases, strollers, put them in, take them out, and then they're gone. And we need neighbors. We don't need to expand, because it expanded in Anaheim. And now they're going to be banned as of 2018, most of them, I hope. But now they've moved to to Garden Grove. I'm confused. Garden Grove, because They are there. I mean, I walk. That's how many I know, because I talked to one of them, and she says, oh, no, I don't live here. I just rent it out. I said, okay. Then I did speak to a lady who I think is making one to let her know that we're going to do a Garden Grove neighborhood watch. Would you be interested in starting one in this neighborhood so that we can watch for STRs, drugs, and all that? She goes, I don't think so. So I said, I know there's an STR right next to you, so we're letting everybody be aware. So she just dropped her face when I kind of talked to her about that. So they're there. All of those are there. And you see, and all they have to do is open their garage. Nothing is in the garage but the washer and dryer. And you see the housekeeper washing all the sheets, and then, I mean, they're there. They're across the street, and there's like 4 and 5 on Ricky. And when I know they are, because I come home and take my grandkids to school, come home that way, and sure enough, there's 4 or 5 cars that day, 2 different cars the next day, and so on, so on, so on. So they're there. They are there. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Leland Sisk.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I have 2 subjects I want to touch on. The first one is the short-term rentals. I'll touch on that very briefly. I last spoke to this council on the 22nd of August. That was 4 weeks ago tonight. In that 4 weeks, the illegal short-term rental across the street from us, I have counted, I keep a log, I have security cameras. There have been approximately 12 different cars from 5 different states, and that house has been rented approximately 3 weeks out of the last 4. Assuming they're getting the full $2,000 a week, times 3 weeks, that's $840 that you got screwed out of. Now, when Ms. Hoy said we could give it to the Parks and Recreation, there's money you're never going to see. And let me tell you how much money they are making. The people left this morning, the woman who cleans the place showed up, well, she was there when they left. She drives a white Lexus SUV. She's making money, you're not. So I sincerely hope that the city of Garden Grove puts some teeth in these ordinances, gets rid of these. As I said, we want neighbors. I don't want strangers, all right? Now, let me go to my other subject. City clerk here should have distributed some photos to you. I'm sorry they didn't come out better, but what I want to talk to you is that. This is the issue I addressed last time about storage of RVs on driveways, all right? I bought a laser measuring device, all right, for this specific purpose. My home is on this side of this picture. That's the house next door. That's the motor home we look at every day. That motor home is, from this front post here, I've got the post measured, there's 8 of them. From where it's back down the driveway, from the first post, post number 4, it's 2.4 feet from my fence. Go back to post number 5, it's 1.35 feet. Let me clue you, that's 15 inches. They've got the rear view mirror folded in because it would extend over my property if they put it out in a normal position. At post number 7, it's 1.31 feet. The corner, from the corner of this concrete block wall to that motorhome is 2.3 feet, all right? From the corner of our roof to the nearest point of that motorhome is 4 feet, all right? Under the normal house, the corner from the corner of my house to the corner of their house is 8 feet. Why am I living next to a motorhome? I didn't buy a motorhome. I didn't buy a mobile home. I don't want to live next to one. The city needs to pass an ordinance. If you drive around town, you can see these motorhomes parked straight up against the property line. I want my visibility down the street back. I want the sunshine back. We've won awards from this city for our garden, but now the sun doesn't shine on my garden until about noon because of that 11-foot, 1-inch tall motorhome. And that's the manufacturer's specifications. That motorhome is right on the property line. As I mentioned last time, you won't let me put an outside storage building within 5 foot of the property line. How come they get to put an 11-foot motorhome right on the property line? So I have one last request. If you won't outlaw this, How about if I apply for a permit to put up an 11-foot fence? How hard are you going to laugh when I ask for that? But that's what you've let the neighbors do, and that's what you've let other people in this city do, and you need to address this. They should be able to put that motorhome no closer than the nearest outside wall of their home. It's a fire hazard, it's a safety hazard. I don't know who's hiding behind that motorhome. It blocks sunlight, it blocks the wind, and when I look out my kitchen window, all I see is that motorhome. I can't see 9th Street, I can't see anything except that motorhome. I want my home back. It's hard for me to imagine I live in a $700,000 home and all I see is somebody else's motorhome. Now, I understand that these spaces are expensive if you want to rent one to store your motorhome. But if you can afford to have your home cleaned once every 2 weeks, if you can afford to have your pool cleaned once a week professionally, if you can afford the motorhome, perhaps you should have budgeted for money to park your motorhome. I'm sorry, store your motorhome. They're not parking it, they're storing it. That thing might not move again until sometime next summer. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Leland. Nicholas Dibbs.
Mayor Steve Jones, members of the City Council. It's oftentimes that or that people come to this podium and are complaining. Well, I don't want to complain tonight. I want to thank Kim Hoy for the things that she has done. I've worked with her on different things. I want to start off by saying, Kim, I'm going to miss your smile. I'm going to miss your presence, positive presence that you've given to our city. And I want to say, you look too young to retire. So I'm sorry that you're leaving, but you've done an excellent job. My first contact with her and her department was when I attended the Food for Thought luncheon, and I asked Jeremy Harris, I said, Jeremy, you remember the Youth and Government Day? And he didn't remember, he was too young. So he put me in touch with Stacy Margolin. This was before she had passed away, and Stacy sent me an email and started the process. And then John Marchensis followed up. And then I followed up with Kim Hoy. And next thing you know, after a few months, after about a year or so, now we have the Youth and Government Day about to begin, reinstated after many years. I'm Nicholas Dibbs. I graduated from Pacifica High School with honors, and when I was a student at Pacifica, I was selected to be a city council member for the day, and that was part of the Youth and Government Day program that the city sponsored at that time. Did it for several years. The city sponsored it for a number of years. Then it was stopped for about 20 years, and now we're bringing it back. And so the first resurrection of this wonderful program for the high school students, which will accommodate about 50 high school students, will be in February of 2018. And I'm saddened that Kim won't be here when it happens, but she deserves the credit, her and her staff, and Stacy Margolin, who's passed away, also deserves credit for getting that going, along with myself and others who pushed for it. And so I want to thank her for that. The next thing was, I'm campaigning for school board, and I have my signs up in West Garden Grove. Then I get a call from Kim back in October of 2016. She says, Mr. Dibbs, you need to move one of your signs. I said, why? I worked hard to put those signs up. She says, well, we want to do a dedication of one of the tiled flower arrangements that you see around the city, and we're going to do one on the west end of Garden Grove at Lamson and Manley on the west end of town. She said, please move it temporarily. I said, okay. Because it was Kim, I didn't argue with her. I just moved it, because I knew that if she called and asked me to do something, I better do it. Because I know she doesn't, she's such a good person that I know that that was the best thing to do. So I moved the sign. She said, well, can we reimburse you for the cost of the glue or whatever to put it? I said, no, don't worry about it. That was the second one. And then the third one was recently back in May. She did the wonderful program that Mayor Jones started, which is she coordinated and did that event, the Garden Grove College Graduates Reception that I was one of the sponsors of. Wonderful event. Those are just 3 instances, and I know there's probably hundreds more of all of the years that she's been involved with. But Kim, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss your smile. You're too beautiful to retire. Thank you.
All right, and that concludes oral communications. We will move on, we will recess to successor agency. Okay, we will call the successor agency meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Member O'Neill?
Here.
Member Tu Ho Win?
Here.
Member Bowie?
Yeah.
Member Klompenstein?
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen?
Here.
Vice Chair Beard?
Here.
And Chair Jones?
Here. Oral communications we did simultaneously with City Council already. Consent items, we just have a receive and file of the minutes.
Yeah, motion approved.
Second. Call to vote.
Is it working?
Spinning. Just thinking.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you. Any matters from agency members? I've got a quickie. We just had one minor reorganization on the successor agency. Former Mayor Bill Dalton resigned from the successor agency board, and we just replaced him with Lee Butterfield, who has been a longtime pillar in this community and former planning commissioner and whatnot. So we just made that change recently. With that, we'll adjourn to sanitary district.
Okay, with that, I'll call the sanitary district meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Just give me a sec. Okay. Member Bowie?
Yeah.
Member Jones?
Jones.
Yep.
Member Klompenstein?
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen?
Here.
Member Tu Ho Win?
Here.
Vice President O'Neill?
Here.
And President Beard.
Here. So with that, we've already covered oral communications. The consent items are the minutes of August 22nd, 2017. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve those minutes. Second it.
Motion and second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Any matters from members? General Manager? With that, we'll move to adjournment of October 24th, 2017. With that, we'll go back to the City Council.
Alrighty, so back to City Council. We will go on to consent items. I would like to pull 3E and 3F. Is there anybody else who would like to pull any others?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the
Second.
balance? Yeah.
Wanna
Second
balance?
that.
Okay, call to vote.
Kim and O'Neill. Is it working? Not working?
So you got it?
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, good, thanks. Okay, so 3E 3E is an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding between City of Garden Grove and City of Santa Ana. This is exciting for us. It's exciting for me. I've put a lot of legwork into this in recent months, so just wanted to pull it for a minute just to kind of describe it. So, City of Garden Grove owns an approximately 100-acre piece of property, which is improved with the Willowick Golf Course located in the City of Santa Ana. That's a very strange anomaly for one city to own property in another city. It's encumbered by a long-term ground lease, which expires in a couple years, in 2019, I believe. The maintenance of the course, the operation of the course has declined in years, as is fairly typical as you get to end of life of a long-term ground lease in that regard. And also, we have the OC Streetcar project, which went through OCTA and was championed by both cities working together in partnership, City of Santa Ana and City of Garden Grove. That is now fully approved. It's been approved for funding at the FTA level. It will be under construction by the end of next year and will be open by 2020. So that will be a 4-mile streetcar project going from the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center or the Santa Ana train station through downtown Santa Ana and then along the Pacific Electric right-of-way right past Willowick. So a lot of big events coming up with regard to Willowick in the next couple years. The two cities have talked about doing something or exploring kind of redevelopment potential of Willowick for many years. There's been times where it's ramped up and gotten close to having a more formal discussion, but we've never really gotten it off the ground. In the last couple of months, I took the time to go meet one-on-one with each of the 7 Santa Ana City Council members and just sort of gauge their temperature, their appetite for exploring this. And, Santa Ana has a lot of different opinions on how things should be done. So I wanted to take the time to meet with them individually. Those meetings all went very well, and collectively, I think there's interest in exploring what the future of that very unique 100-acre piece of property right in the middle of Orange County might look like in the future as the streetcar comes through it and as the county progresses into the future. So this is a memorandum of understanding that would say that Santa Ana and Garden Grove are jointly interested in exploring possible redevelopment of Willowick. This will lead to, if approved, this will lead to a study session, joint study session between our city council and theirs and our staff and theirs, just to talk about the history of the site and possible future alternatives for the site. So very excited about this. This could be the biggest thing that either of our cities have ever done, and we get to be a part of that by getting this process started. So with that, I'd like to move approval of 3E.
Move to approve it, but I would like to share some comment as well.
Please.
I'm extremely excited, and I would like to commend the effort of the mayor to move this along. So that our residents understand what this is about. The City of Garden Grove have total ownership of this Willowick Golf Course. However, it is in Santa Ana. So the cities that are in control of this property is Santa Ana through zoning. So for the last, say, 20 years, Mayor? Right. So for the last 20 years, the two cities trying to redevelop it, but it's very difficult because, both sides want it to be the best for their interest. And so it did not get successful after many attempts. The mayor, Steve Jones, have worked very hard, and at least at this point, the two cities realize that we need to work together because, if we don't work together, if one city wants most of it for their city, it will not work because Garden Grove owns the property and Santa Ana controls the zoning of it. So I am really excited that we are, this is moving in the right direction. And when we are able to do that, this will revitalize the whole area. Imagine the International West from 10 years ago with the tourism industry now extend all the way down, not only to 17th Street, but all the way, potentially all the way through Santa Ana into Bonsai and First Avenue. So this is really exciting. I'm look forward to to work with the staff and the mayor of both cities to move this along.
Is that a second?
Is that a second?
Was that a second?
Second.
Yeah.
No, that's, I
Anybody else
move
want to
it.
speak on it?
No, I'll second.
Okay. You don't have to. Don't feel you have to. We'll dive into this more, but you're welcome to if anybody wants to.
Well, I'll just say that, we're agreeing to open discussion, and I'm glad that the transparency. A lot of people say, hey, well, you've already got some plans for it. No, we want people to come in competitively, come in and give us ideas on what can happen there. And obviously, we want the best for both communities, both, economically and feasibility and the best use of that land. Because you've got this gem of 100 acres in the middle of Santa Ana that's, you just want to do it right the first time. So we're going to explore all avenues, and we're going to invite everybody to give us ideas, and that's what this whole resolution is about, is working together to try to move things forward and get things done. So I'm excited.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll just say, thanks, Mayor, for moving it forward. I mean, I think it would have been drifting along for years, potentially.
Yeah.
We have our ideas, they have their ideas, collaborative effort. It's a win-win situation. And I agree with Councilmember O'Neill. We need to do it right.
Yeah.
Plan it out and do it right, and everybody's in agreement on it. So,
Yeah.
again, thanks for moving it forward.
Thanks. Before we call the vote, I'd like to just expand on kind of what you brought up, John, is that's one thing I learned, and this maybe provides a little direction on kind of where we go from here, because this is a simple approval of an MOU, but then staff and city manager says, well, but then what, right? So what I gathered from talking to all these unique personalities in Santa Ana, and to some extent internally here about this, is this, if this is to go forward and become something, it has to be a very transparent, very public, very formal process for it to work. So, I think that the natural next step, Santa Ana just approved this already, by the way, last week. So upon our projected approval of this tonight, then we actually have an MOU in place. The next logical step is we get our city council together with their city council and staff for a study session where we all talk about it. Public is welcome to attend. And then we proceed into kind of a formal process. And part of my individual discussions with them about how do we actually move forward instead of just talking about it some more. We said, well, both cities have different opinions. They have big egos. They have, big attitudes and stuff. So, who's going to be the lead agency, right? It would be ideal if neither city was lead agency, if we selected some third-party facilitator to kind of keep the communication flow going and to sort of take that element out of the equation. So that's one thing that was discussed. It would behoove us, for the sake of trying to actually make something happen here, like we said, to do this very formal. So to, once an MOU comes together, presumably our phones start ringing off the hook because it's a big, huge, juicy site in the middle of Orange County, right? So how do we narrow that down? We narrow that down through a formal RFQ process, something that would, that would say, if you have an interest in pursuing something with this site, show us you're credible. Show us a bank statement, show us a balance sheet, show us track record that you've completed similar sized projects. So we narrow it down to people who are credible participants, or we could get hundreds and hundreds of leads that aren't really qualified. And then only from there, once we've narrowed the playing field based on qualifications, do we get into proposals. And we resist the temptation as cities to think we know what the site wants to be when it grows up. Resist the temptation to kid ourselves that we're the developer, because we're not. Let's ask the private market what they think it wants to be and where they think financing exists for doing a project of that size. This is a really huge endeavor. We've never done anything this big. The biggest project we've done since I've been around has been Great Wolf Lodge, which was $285 million. We've got a Site C project, which could potentially be $450 million. This thing will be well over $1 billion, soup to nuts, and it's exciting. And that's just the land. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, with that, I'd like to call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, 3F, this has to do with expenses for our recent Denver trip. So I just kind of wanted to report out on that in terms of what we did. We had a couple staff members, and Stephanie Klopfenstein and I went to Denver. This pertained to our hotel development efforts along Harbor Boulevard, most specifically Site C, because we had what we thought was a flag in place that was going to anchor the Site C project, kind of fell apart on us a few months ago. And as we started getting some ideas of what might replace it going forward to keep the project moving forward and keep the economics of the deal together, what came up was various brands, including a Marriott Le Meridien, including Kimpton Inn and Suites, and various other hotel flags. So Stephanie and I did a very exhaustive, with our staff, with executives from Marriott and kind of Starwood Marriott team. Marriott bought Starwood, so now Sheraton and Marriott are all together under one roof. We toured, I think, 8 different hotels.
Was it only 8?
Yeah, felt like 108. It was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about different brands of hotels, how they work, how they differentiate themselves, what works in different market areas and why. I mean, it's amazing just how much depth there is in the hotel market once you start peeling back why there are so many different brands and how it works. So we had a lot of hotel tours. We had rooftop bar tours, which was fun, but also relevant because in this Disney resort area, there's really no vantage points where you can see Disney fireworks at night and that kind of stuff. So rooftop bars in our city would be a very cool thing to add. We also met and had lunch with Chad McWhinney while we were out there, the developer of the Great Wolf Lodge. So we covered a heck of a lot of ground in about a day and a half round trip, and just wanted to report out on kind of the fruits of our efforts there.
Yeah, it was a great trip, very educational and fun too. So.
Question?
Yeah.
Just for clarification, now, normally we do not travel and then approve the expenses later, right? And just for the public to know that the reason why we travel first and then ask the city to approve the expenses afterward is because of the urgency. Starwood is doing a grand opening of their luxury hotel line, and they did that last week, and there is no time for the mayor and Council Klopfenstein to ask for approval prior to their soft opening. And that's why we on an urgency needed, we have to travel first to take a look at their hotel and then come back for to request the council to approve the travel at a later time. So I'm just want to make it clear that that's an urgent need to do this. Otherwise, would follow the normal procedure to ask for approval first.
Thank you. That'll move approval.
Second.
Call the vote. Alrighty.
Still be thinking I can
Yeah.
vote. Okay.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, that takes us on to public hearings. Item 4A, adoption of resolution approving issuance of bonds by California Municipal Finance Authority as conduit financing for Caritas Corporation, Caritas Acquisitions 1 LLC, and Caritas Silver Lantern LLC. We will bring that forward. Is there a staff report on that first and foremost? You doing that, Nate? Yeah. Okay, cool. Go for it.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, we're here this evening to conduct a public hearing pursuant to the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, otherwise known as TEFRA. TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held by the governing body of the jurisdiction in which a project to be financed with tax-exempt financing is located, and that the governing body approve the proposed financing. The Caritas Corporation proposes to obtain tax-exempt financing in amount not to exceed $67,500,000 to finance the acquisition and improvement of mobile home parks owned by the Caritas Corporation Caritas Acquisitions 1 LLC, and Caritas Silver Lantern LLC. The California Municipal Finance Authority, CMFA, is a joint powers authority formed to assist local governments, nonprofit organizations, and businesses with the issuance of both tax and tax-exempt debt. The debt to be issued by the CMFA will be the sole responsibility of the Caritas Corporation, and the city will have no financial or legal obligations or responsibilities with regard to the repayment of the debt. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation of the city, and the city will also bear no cost in the issuance of the proposed debt. This is a private loan with the borrower and their bank. It is recommended that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the issuance of bonds by the CMFA for the benefit of the Caritas Corporation. Such adoption is solely for the purpose of satisfying the requirements of TEFRA, the code, and the California Government Code Section 6500. And then with us this evening, we have Lee McCormick from California Municipal Finance Authority and John Woolley from the Caritas Corporation to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, quick pause, because Mayor Pro Tem is telling me. So back under our consent items, we actually approved the proclamation declaring October 20th to 22nd as being the International Festival of Orange County. So we did approve that, and we actually have a proclamation to present to them. And we sort of skipped over the proclamation part. So if I can just pause that item for 1 second and present the proclamation, if I can do that. And that's so that we can send them on their way and let them go home.
That's a nice way to say.
Thanks, back for the Okay, great. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and all council members and the city manager, all staff. I wanted to first say thank you for making this time. Lastly, I would like to also thank the entry community for coming together hand in hand to support our cause to help make the festival a success. Also, we have a Pyeongchang Winter Olympic, two booths coming our festivals. Also, we have a K-pop group, they coming here. We plan for the festival to become to international festival with your help. We'll be able to achieve this. City of Garden Grove will continue to your interest and the support for the Orange County Festival. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we are back on point on item 4A. So, John, did you have anything you wanted to come up and say in particular, or no? Otherwise, yeah. Any questions that you guys want him to come up for? I'll make a motion, but I'll just say that I'm glad we were able to get on top of this so quickly. It only took about 5 years to bring this forward in about 1 million meetings over time. But I'm glad to actually see it finally getting formalized into an agreement and moving forward. And I hope it works for you guys, and I hope you're successful in your efforts to revamp and continue doing what you're doing in this park and others in the city. So thank you. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve. Yeah.
You have to open the public hearing.
With that, I'll open the public hearing. Yeah. Nick, please come forward.
Mayor Jones, members of the council, I'm Nicholas Dibbs. Probably everybody in this room knows the answer already, but I don't, so I'm going to ask the question. It's probably in the law somewhere, and somebody will explain it. But if this is a private loan and the city isn't responsible for it, why does the city even have to get involved in this? So can somebody answer that question?
Because the United States tax code requires it.
The federal tax code?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a state program, but it's because of the tax code. What does the tax code have to do with the bonds?
It requires a public hearing, and we're the public agency where the property is located, so we serve as a venue for this public hearing.
But why, in general terms, does the public agency
because
need to even be involved in the first place?
Because the tax code is adopted by the federal government with head in Washington, D.C., and we're not going to have public hearings in Washington, D.C.
Okay, well, still don't understand it, but I'm just trying to get the connect the dots a little bit here. But anyway, that's okay, you all know what's going on. And
The bonds that are being issued are tax exempt.
oh, okay.
And for that reason, requires a public hearing under the tax code. And, the hearing could be either at the county or in our, before the city council. And being that the property is within Garden Grove, is being held in Garden Grove.
Okay, it's because they're tax exempt, that's why the
Correct.
city is involved. Thank you very much for explaining that, and for those, myself and others who maybe didn't understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Leland.
Perhaps you could allay some of my confusion. Corrivus Corporation, are they a nonprofit corporation?
Yes.
And so, this is, all of the $67 million is going to be used to redevelop one mobile home park, or what was the amount?
It's not $67 million.
How much is it?
It's like $67,000, isn't it?
No.
$67 million. And it's multiple mobile home parks.
But that, okay,
Around
yeah,
the
gotcha,
67
okay.
million.
Four of them
Right,
in different
right.
cities and.
Yeah, gotcha. This
So-
was some sort of a conduit loan that encompassed a bunch of different properties, including the two they bought in Garden Grove, but this is all under it's all under one larger loan that,
So the city of Garden Grove is, I don't understand that, if the properties are in other cities, how come the other cities aren't involved in this also? I understand we're not on the hook for this, if it
yeah,
all
we're not on
goes
the
south.
hook for it, right.
But
They
why
all
are other
are.
cities
What's
not
that?
involved in this, if it's
So,
cities?
yeah, each city has to do the same thing that we're doing here today, where the properties are. I think, I'll have to let the developer speak, but I think there's actually 4 different properties that are involved in this, maybe more. But here.
Go right ahead. And who's going to issue the bonds? What are the terms? What are the interest rates? Where can you buy them? There's all kind of questions. And if you don't have all those answers, shouldn't there be a link on a website here to where the average citizen can go to find that info?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll let
I'd
him
want to
speak
throw
to it and try and.
$100,000 and buy some bonds if they're tax exempt, and 'cause who knows?
The bonds were already issued a long time ago, right? So this is not a, yeah.
So if it's ex post facto, now I'm even more confused. We're approving.
Yeah,
something that's already been done.
Let him explain that. It's a complicated item, but it's a.
There's a little confusion here.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm John Woolley. I'm the Chief Investment Officer for the Caritas Corporation. We've been in existence since the mid-1990s. We currently own 22 mobile home parks throughout the state of California. Back in 2010, I believe we purchased 2 parks from the city of Garden Grove, and probably about 40% of the communities that we've purchased have been from cities, and a lot of that happened when the redevelopment agencies kind of went away. Our goal is to provide affordable housing to low and middle class residents on a perpetuity basis. And so from time to time, we are acquiring parks. We're in the process of acquiring 2 right now, one from the city of Santa Monica and one with a group up in Palo Alto. And you can go online and read about those if you want. One is the Buena Vista in Palo Alto. It's been it had a number of lawsuits over the years where the family that owned the park wanted to redevelop it into something. The residents band together and tried to keep it affordable. And now the county and the city and a number of groups are coming together in order to stop the lawsuit between the owners of the land and the city, the residents and the owner. The residents are now suing the city, and so we're kind of coming in trying to put the park on solid footing and be able to keep it as an affordable product forever. So that's basically what we kind of do. Here, we're refinancing, is it 5 communities, and we're acquiring a couple others. The question about TEFRA hearings, there was one this morning in San Bernardino County because the city of Yucaipa needed the county to hold the hearing. We have one in San Diego. We have one in the next coming weeks in Dana Point and a couple other places. So this is just something that normally happens. The question about how you buy the bonds, you'd have to go through a brokerage house that does it. If you had a sincere interest in that, I'd be more than happy to get you the name and contact people. But when we did this in 2014, we had a funding where we refinanced 6 communities and acquired 3 more. And this is how we do it. And just like if you bought a home and you're blessed enough to have it go up in value, after a couple of years, we refinance it. We use that money to acquire more, and that's how we forward our mission. And that was an $87 million funding. And like anybody that's ever done any real estate deal, whether it's your house or not, you hope that if you're buying something, it's all going to come together. We had 8 companies that wanted to pledge all $87 million. And so we've, again, because of our track record that we have, it was a very comfortable thing for them to get involved in. To keep everybody happy, we diced it up among 9 or 10 companies, and now we're hoping to do that again in the next month or so. It takes a while to process.
Thanks. Can you just bring it back down to the Garden Grove level and kind of wrap it up?
Garden Grove?
What exposure does City of Garden Grove have
Zero.
in this effort? Yeah.
0. And also, when we bought the Bahia Village product from the city, we needed some assistance, and the city was kind enough to lend us $500,000, and part of the proceeds of this funding are going to reimburse the city and allow them to be made whole. So this is just a normal course of business.
Yeah. Thanks for everything you're doing. You guys have been operating Bahia and Emerald wonderfully and kept them affordable and kept the conditions up and all that kind of stuff. It's
Thank you, sir.
wonderful.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No, seeing none. Okay, thank you. Any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Yeah.
It's been slow today.
It's cold in here, that's why.
I need to go. I need to take a break. You want me? Okay.
Did it do it?
No. Oh, motion received, 7 yes votes.
7 yes votes. Okay, we're going to take just about a 3-minute break.
utilized its resources to expand and preserve affordable housing and assist seniors and those at risk of homelessness. Some of our notable accomplishments this year include the construction of 47 new affordable units for low-income seniors and families, assisting 345 individuals or families with fair housing issues. We assisted over 1,000 seniors with services and meal delivery, provided 4 low-income families with housing assistance in the form of tenant-based rental assistance, provided rapid rehousing to 7 families, provided 252 homeless residents with overnight shelter, and funded gang prevention services in the city's low and moderate income neighborhoods. The public review and comment period for the CAPER began on September 9th and continues until the conclusion of this public hearing tonight. Tonight, you are asked to hold a public hearing to collect public comment, accept the report, and direct staff to submit the CAPER to HUD. This concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Allison at this time? Yep. Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4B? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Any questions, comments, or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hold the vote.
Are you guys anxious to go home or not?
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, moving right along to items for consideration, item 5A. This is there anyone introducing this, or do I just jump right in? Go
Up to
for it.
you. I don't have a long presentation other than to say that at your last meeting, the city council approved renaming the Main Street Commission, which requires an ordinance because it's a municipal code commission, and also to discuss the composition of the board. Before you is an ordinance that renames the commission to the Downtown Commission, and also Section 2 identifies a current composition of the board if the council wishes to address that tonight. That provision is there in the ordinance, and you can make any changes to the ordinance and introduce it with those changes, or you can introduce it the way it is, which in effect only changes the name of the commission.
Okay, thank you. So I think for tonight, what we'd like to do is just proceed as it is listed for tonight. But I would like to, and I don't know if this can be done in one motion or subsequent motion, or how we do it, but to agendize this to come back at our next meeting so we can talk about the actual organization of the commission itself, because we do have a letter of resignation that came in, and there's been some just discussion about how to fill the vacancy and just sort of look at a general reorganization of that commission in general as we change the name.
So if you wish to change the organization of the board, it will require an ordinance. And as you know, an ordinance requires introduction, second reading, and then adoption.
To be clear, I'm not talking about changing any of the rules of the ordinance, just to sort of fill a vacancy within the existing
Okay,
ordinance. That's all I'm talking about, yeah.
Oh,
not
you're
that-
saying about leave
yeah,
it
yeah.
with 7 members.
Yeah.
You just want to talk about filling the
Basically, yeah,
vacancy.
just looking at the existing members and the vacancy that came up, and just looking if there's any shuffle that we want to consider doing relevant to what's going on in the downtown area, so.
Okay. As to that, since you brought it up and it is on the agenda as such, I want to remind the city council that the MATI Act, under state law, whenever there's a vacancy on a commission, requires that we publish notice in order to get anyone who's interested to apply for the vacancy.
Okay.
So you can have the discussion at your next meeting, if that's what the motion would be. But the council needs to realize that the mayor's proposal to fill the position would require waiting until after the city clerk publishes the notice of the vacancy.
Not tonight, no. No, but for next. Yeah. Yeah, not right this second, no.
So
Got it.
if you just want to move the
How
ordinance.
long do we have to notice for? Like, can we notice it and do it and collect applications and bring it back within a couple weeks, or should we do it longer, or is there kind of any?
think we
It's sort of a
norm-
specific commission, right? It's not a citywide one, it's only kind of relevant to kind of a handful of people. So I think we've
Yeah,
already sort of
unfortunately-
heard a number of.
Yeah, Unfortunately, the state law applies to all commissions.
Okay.
So even though this is specific, it still applies. We still have to notice. I believe we do a 10-day notice.
Yeah, I could get it published Friday.
Okay. Does that give us enough time to bring it back at the next meeting, or do we got to skip a meeting before we bring it back?
Let's see.
To do it properly, so that we give ample time for.
Yeah, you could. You could.
Pass this part. Yeah, okay.
So I recommend two motions. One would be to introduce the ordinance and pass it to second reading. And then a separate motion to re-agendize the item for discussion on the composition of the board. Or discussion on filling of the vacancy.
Okay. So first item, I'd like to make a motion that we rename the commission to the Downtown Commission.
I move the motion.
Call to vote. Fat Stephanie.
It must not like me today, the software.
Still spinning?
Still spinning. It went to everyone else first and then me. That's the problem.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there a second motion?
Yep, sorry. Second motion is just to bring back, to publish the vacancy that exists, which was the resignation of Andrew Halberstadt from that board. Bless his heart, wonderful contributor, great dude, good friend of mine. But he's traveling a bunch now and wasn't able to make the meetings and stuff, so he just sent in his resignation letter. So we'd like to publish that there's a vacancy and get applicants to come forward and submit and bring that back at the next meeting so we can talk about reorganization of the seats on that commission.
Second, that was a motion, right?
Yeah.
Second, okay.
I'm going to do an oral vote. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Yes.
Councilmember Tuhawen?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fat Bui?
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Yes.
And Councilmember Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
And Mayor Jones?
Yes,
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
cool. Okay. Move on to 6, which is ordinances for second reading. This is the
Just for the-
landscape water efficiency guidelines?
I'll go ahead and read that.
Okay.
Okay. So this is ordinance number 2886, presented for second reading and adoption, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove approving amendment number A-020-2017, amending and restating portions of Title IX zoning code of the Garden Grove Municipal Code regarding landscape water efficiency requirements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call to vote. You're still doing it again?
Motion received, 7 yes
Oh.
votes.
All right.
Mayor, before we go to the next item, I just want to make sure the record indicates that the City Council on item 5A introduced an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove revising Chapter 232 of Title II of the Garden Grove Municipal Code, renaming the Main Street Commission to Downtown Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to matters. We do have one listed, so we'll start with that. So we'll start with Councilmember Kim Nguyen. Discussion on seeking a sister city association within the country of Mexico.
So I would like to ask for my council colleagues to approve this item, and what I'm asking for is to allow for staff to have dedicated time to do some research and explore some sister city options with the country of Mexico. I myself and the mayor, and then another meeting with myself and the city manager, have met with the Mexican consulate and have had some very good discussions about some ways that we can partner with them. And one of the things that's come up as a reoccurring theme has been creating a sister city partnership with Mexico. And so after meeting with some of the staff, Janet Palayo and John Monsanchez and Kim Hoy, we are asking that the staff be given this direction to focus some time to kind of explore which cities and what that partnership would look like, whether we would do some sort of committee in order to do some fundraising for that partnership, or just a makeup and composition of what that would look like. So this is just exploratory.
Do you have any budget in mind about how much staff would need to work on this?
My guess is this is probably a low-level
Couple weeks, a
preliminary.
few weeks?
Yeah. Just to kind of go do a little general exploration and whatever.
There's already been a lot
Probably
of
not
groundwork laid. The staff has been in communication with the Mexican consulate. They have a few sister city options. This is going to allow for the city staff to look into the cities and kind of see which would be the best fit for the city of Garden Grove.
I think it's a good idea. We from what I heard, we used to have a sister city relationship with a city in Mexico, but it just become inactive. So I think it's time for us to look into, figure out whether we're going to have a new one or restart that sister city relationship. But I want to, put a limit to it. Like, I don't know how much would be appropriate. Maybe 100 hours or 200 hours.
It's not going to be anywhere near that much. I mean, just for staff to come back and report back out about just high-level finding options and how it might happen or something it'd be minimal.
20, 40. Okay. I would, in that case, I would like to move the motion for the vote.
Second.
Just before we call the vote, this is not a public hearing item. You're raising your hand, but I'm not much for formality. So, what would you like to say? Okay. I was thinking Cancun, but no, I'm just kidding. Whatever's most appropriate for I think, Makeover City and whatever's sustainable. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. We have a motion and a second. Just call the vote.
Okay.
He got it first.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you. Okay, we are on matters. Chris?
Yeah, just a quick item. She spoke earlier, recognized Kim Hoyer in her retirement. I just have a few last words. Since this is her last meeting, I think she's still back there, and I can almost hear the champagne popping, corks popping. So I just want to, she mentioned that parks make life better. I want to say that Kim Hoy made life better for Garden Grove residents, and I want to thank her as a friend, as a great employee, dedicated and all that. But what is really remarkable is we started together in 1982 as interns working for the city of Garden Grove. So I've known her all that time, and I didn't age as well as she did, but she's done a superb job for the city, wonderful job, just a wonderful person. Her dedication, and she brought forth a lot of good programs, services through her staff, her efforts. I always admire her positive attitude and outlook, and she really will be missed, not only by myself, but by the city in its entirety. So thank you, Kim, and we wish you well.
John?
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I think I've got to know Kim over the last 5-6 years since I've really gotten into public service here, even though I lived here my whole life. But Kim is just an outstanding individual that always had everything lined up and always a smile on her face and wanted to know what she could do to help you if you came to her with an issue. And I've just known her a short time. But so congratulations, Kim, on your retirement. That's excellent. Regarding the STRs, I think it's time that, the city council, we could possibly agendize something here in the near future to talk about this. It's always been on our back burner. The city's doing a lot of things to combat it right now, but I think we need to have discussion amongst the council and have a public discussion on how we're going to move forward with these. So I'd like to get that on the agenda for maybe in the next month. It doesn't have to
Can
be
we do a
the next.
study session? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah,
Like
maybe
do-
a study session, see where we're at, get a report back from the council, from the staff on what they've been doing to mitigate these situations. But I'd like to get input from everywhere because it's becoming a big issue, and we really need to address it. So whatever you would recommend, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, what probably would work best is if we worked on a staff report and brought it forward and brought it up as part of the agenda rather than a study session, but we're flexible for whatever.
Just out of curiosity, why would that be as opposed to, there's something just casual about a study session environment where you can sort of talk it all out as opposed to the formality of it? Would we be taking action on a staff agenda or a staff report or just?
Well, you could
presentation?
direct us, you could give us a lot of different direction. If you'd like us to come forward with some recommendations about what our options are, we could certainly do that in conjunction with the city attorney's office. We could do a little research about what other cities are doing. We've heard some discussion about what Anaheim may or may not be doing. There's probably some discussion there. It can be a study session, or it can be part of the agenda when members of the community are here too and watching it on TV. So it's kind of the wishes of council.
I gather there's some kind of
can we let
legal
Omar-
complexities
yeah,
to
please.
how this goes, and I think that's really the
Well,
crux. Like, before we acted or took any stance on it, I think we need to understand what we're stepping into first and how to approach it.
Well, unless you want to permit it, we already have a prohibition.
Yeah.
It's just an
Yeah.
issue of enforcing our code.
Right.
And we're playing a cat and mouse game, and we're implementing new ways of trying to enforce. The latest is that we're going to ask for the neighbors to assist us. So we're preparing a neighborhood complaint or affidavit. Part of the issue is identifying them, not just suspect. As a city that has to comply with the Constitution, and in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty, we cannot just prosecute anyone because someone else suspects that they're breaking the law. We have to actually have proof that someone is breaking the law. And that's the difficulty with these businesses, is that they adapt really quickly with the electronics that they have. So if you go to Airbnb, you find out that you don't get the address until you pay and until you get closer to the date of your stay. So even if the city were to have its credit card to rent out some of these places to find the violation, we don't know the address, and it'd be difficult to get our money back unless we cancel at the last minute. So we're constantly trying to identify ways to better enforce and better get the information. So we are working on it, but that's, again, on the prosecution side, and we don't necessarily go out there and announce it, because then people will know what we're doing and they will adapt and make it more difficult to enforce.
Yeah, on this note, I have met with the city attorney and others about this issue. This entire list that Mr. Donaldson brought today, and others have approached the podium and discussed this issue. They're all of them in my district. So I'm very aware of this issue. I know that staff and the city attorney are working very hard on this. Some of this information, just wasn't sure if it was for public consumption yet or exactly how this was supposed to be expressed. So I do think that personally, that a staff report could answer a lot of the questions needed at this point. And if after said staff report, if we need to take it a step further, and have a study session, then, I mean, I'm open to that, but I think that there is a lot of information there, and I think there is steps being taken. And so if there's a way, and a right way to bring forth some of that information so that we can all digest it and see that things are being done, I think that would be a good first step versus a full-blown study session at this time. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I agree.
Cool.
You know, it's just gotten to a head where now we
Yeah.
have, we all have been dealing with it for many years, but I've got neighbors suing each other independently now, so it's not, it hasn't been very pleasant.
So, for sake of not getting into the weeds on it right
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
second and waiting till the appropriate time, because Omar's consternating over there.
Yeah, no,
Do you
let's
have-
move-
is
let's
that
move along.
sufficient
So-
direction then to proceed with the staff report and come back with?
Staff report, okay, appreciate that, and that's all I have, thanks.
Just want to congratulate Kim Hui. I know her very short time, for probably less than 9 months into the office, but it's a pleasure to work with her. She's very humble, very positive. Every time you have a question, she come up, answer right away, very quick response. So congratulate you to you. We're gonna miss you a lot, Kim. Kim Hui, not Councilmember Kim. Because sometimes I wrote email to Kim, I'm like, oh, that's wrong, Kim. But congratulations to you. That's a big milestone. I'm looking forward for my 35 years as well. One next thing, I would like to thank you to all the residents of District 3. Thank you for your contact me by email or by call, address any concern or any issues and put in suggestion for improvement. I thank you for that. And I also thank you staff that when I don't have the answer, I usually reach out to staff and say, how do I respond to this? So thank you to all the staff, especially Maria, Lisa, and all the, and Scott, and Sean as well. Second thing, I would like to invite everybody for this coming Sunday, October 1st, to the Mid-Autumn Children Festival in Atlantis Park. This is going to be a fun event for children and families, so please join us. And third of all, I would like to say happy birthday to my oldest son, Leon Winchong. He turned 11 today. As well to happy birthday to everyone who have the same birthday today. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Wynn?
I have a couple of things. I'm going to try and make it quick. So this past week, myself, Councilmember T. Nguyen, and Scott Stiles, our city manager, traveled over to Sacramento for the League of California Cities Conference, and just great opportunity to network with other city electeds from all over California. There was great sessions on public safety, homelessness, active transportation, and there was also a portion which we got to interact with several vendors. It was a whole ballroom with, I would say, like over 300 vendors, maybe. I don't know if that's too much, but there was great information on open data, which were part with sessions, and it was really interesting to see how cities are moving forward with all these data and reporting mechanisms, and also some great vendors regarding active transportation. The other thing I'd like to say is congratulations to Kim Hui. I'm a little sad, and I think it's unfair that we only got to work with you for 9 months, but you've done an amazing job throughout your career and laying some great foundation for the city of Garden Grove, and so not some pressure for us to kind of carry that ball and continue that forward. And so I had a very shocking and surprising morning this morning, so I'd like to give a big thank you to the city of Anaheim, Orange, and of course our own Garden Grove fire departments for their amazing and steadfast work with fires that occurred in my complex this morning. And lastly, I would just like to acknowledge some of the devastating natural disasters that have been occurring all over the nation and as well in the country of Mexico. They had an initial earthquake of 8.1. 11 days later, they had a 7.1. And then 4 days after that, which was a couple of days ago, was a 6.1. So just making sure that, we send prayers and positive thoughts in their direction, because I know there's some people still trapped and some efforts to rescue them. So
sorry. Earlier today, City Manager Scott Stiles and Councilmember John O'Neill and myself attended the grand opening ribbon cutting for ACC North, which was part of the Anaheim Convention Center expansion, and it's also the Convention Center's 50th anniversary. So it was a fantastic time to just celebrate all that they're doing there at the Convention Center, and obviously it does play a part in the tourism dollar that finds its way to Garden Grove. So that was a very nice reception and lunch. I also want to congratulate Kim Hoy on her 35 years and all of her dedication to the city of Garden Grove. It's so much appreciated. And lastly, we're not going to be at council before my daughter's birthday, so I want to wish my little Emmy a happy birthday. Mommy loves you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Booth.
My heart stopped for a few seconds when I read the email from the city manager, Scott Stiles, announcing that Kim Hoy is retiring. You know, I had to lose a talented, great personality, great integrity such as Kim Hoy. And even though I cannot be selfish and insist that she change her mind and remain here to serve us, I think sometimes we have to let someone go, even if we love her or love them dearly. But I don't know if you listen to this, Kim. I hope that after a little bit of time off and relax with your loved ones, you will come back and maybe volunteer to help the city, help many other nonprofit organizations in our city. You are a very compassionate person. Always smiling, always helping others, and sometimes you bend backward to help us too. So I'm hopeful that you will bend backward again and many more times to help us out whenever you can. So farewell, Kim, and we hope you the very best. On a different note, I would like to mention to anyone who lives more than 750 feet from the Galleria project, the steel frame, to know that tomorrow, September 27 at 6:30 p.m. at the Boys and Girls Club behind the steel frame, the AMG and Associate will hold a community input event to number one, let everyone know what's going on, their project, and also to listen to anyone who have any input, any suggestion or concerns. I want to mention that this is not a city task. This is simply the developer reaching out to the community to inform and update everyone and get input. They are obligated to send a notice to resident and business within 750 feet, and they have done that. And so 124 property have been notified about 10 days ago. And for those who live further than that, who do not have an opportunity to know about this event, I would like to mention today, so people who do that will get a chance to come. I also have asked the Community Service Department to post it on our website and also send out the notification earlier this afternoon via social media, so that other people who would like to come to learn about it will have an opportunity to do so. With that, I think I would like to talk about the last thing, which is the mobile home. Our city council a couple months ago have approved a new changes to the mobile home ordinance, and so we want to update that and make sure that it's consistent with the need of the residents. But I think it's very important to enforce it. So I would like staff to send out some kind of guidance for people who think that other neighbors does not comply with that ordinance. We do want to make the mobile home people having the capability to enjoy their mobile home, but we want them to to comply and do that, within the ordinance, the city ordinance. So for anyone who not complying to that, I would like to have a clear process where the resident can report that, and the code enforcement can come and take care, address that issue.
To the council and Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Bowie, just so I understand, are we talking about mobile homes, or are we talking about RVs?
I mean RV.
You meant
Yeah.
related to the gentleman speaking about the driveways? Okay, thank you.
That it? Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'll just add a little commentary reporting out on a recent trip. I actually just got back this afternoon from Washington, D.C. for several days with the ACCOC. Positive side, very, very well organized trip, so kudos to Heather Stratman and Diana and Katie and Kelsey, whatever, for all their efforts in setting up just a whirlwind trip in a few days. We had just an action-packed agenda with a lot of meetings and very content-rich stuff to do with everything from housing to cannabis to drone ordinances to what was the other big one? Homelessness and all kinds of all kinds of major topics that we covered. So good news is we went in there and I was really excited going, yeah, this is like all the key sort of content that we want to hear about in Orange County. Downside is I sort of walked out of there feeling like the federal level is completely disconnected with anything that's on our radar. They were not aware that we had a homeless problem, and we're just gloating that homelessness is actually down 14% around the country, so we should be happy. So kind of a disconnect there, and I guess there's a lot of work to do if we expect to achieve any positive results from our advocacy efforts in Washington, D.C., but that's a whole different animal than I know how to deal with. Anyways, it was fun being a fly on the wall and going through that trip as the president of ACCOC and on behalf of the city to be there with them. It was a great time and a good group, and we did learn a lot, just didn't come home with a real positive vibe on how we're going to solve all our problems, but at least we know we're on our own. And now we know, so might as well roll up our sleeves and dive in. The cavalry's not coming yet.
That's a good direction.
Yeah. Scott, would you like to say any comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, and that's generally, when citizens are in need, usually it's their local government.
Yeah.
That's the first folks that they have to depend on, so it's pretty important. Obviously, yes, I also want to extend my congratulations to Ms. Hoy on a great career. I believe tomorrow morning she'll get to enjoy her very last meeting with department directors, meetings with all of us, and I think there's a few more events where we'll get to thank her for just an outstanding career. So I want to chime in on that. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Councilmember Tuhan, Councilmember Kim in Sacramento. They were working me really hard up there. We covered a lot of territory during the conference, and I would say probably if I had to pick out one theme from that concert, that convention that stood out with me are the challenges that all cities in California are looking at in the future with unfunded pension liabilities and the difficulties with that coming down the road. And then finally, I just also wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Kloppenstein's comments. We all attended the convention center opening this morning. It's really, I don't think really people understand or know this, but with the expansion today and the opening of the North Hall, ACC North Hall, it adds 200,000 more square feet of exhibit space to that convention center, putting it over the 1 million mark of exhibit space in a convention center, which puts it, I think, one of the top in the top 10 million square foot club of convention centers in the United States. And probably even more impressive, at 1.8 million square feet, it is now the largest convention facility on the West Coast. Larger than Los Angeles, Seattle, Moscone Center in San Francisco, San Diego. So it's quite important to, obviously, Anaheim, very obviously important to the city of Garden Grove with all of our hotel development and how we depend on that. So very impressive. Congratulations to the city of Anaheim and Convention Center for all their work. So I think our whole area here is on the move. So thank you.
You know, yeah, so Charles Mitchell had mentioned.
Al Snook.
Yeah, to recommend we close in Al Snook. I wasn't aware. Did he pass away?
I didn't know.
Passed away? I wasn't aware of that, so I wanted to clarify that. But yeah, most certainly we'll close in honor of Al Snook. He was a very interesting character and was actively involved in Garden Grove for very many years. He was an insurance salesman.
Yes.
He was a candidate, perpetual mayoral candidate,
There
many
wasn't
times
an
over.
election that went by that you did not see one of his signs
Yeah.
somewhere in the city. He was everywhere.
Fun guy, and he would go around in his mobile home with a big loudspeaker and tell you to vote for him. He'd drive through neighborhoods. And
Wow.
And hear over the. He did. Interesting character, and he used to come to meetings all the time and was actively engaged, and it's what we can ask for in any community. So we'd like to close in his honor.
Okay.
Are we keeping this or we should leave it here? Are we keeping it or we leave it here?
Okay.
I wrote.